Steve Mannion here, writer and creator of the smash comic Fearless Dawn, and you're listening to 11 O'Clock Comics.
You're just going to run with that.
If you're happy with it.
And perfect is perfect.
There's no such thing as perfect.
Wow. You're in a mood, I can see that.
I'm not in a mood. I'm happy. I'm happy dappy. You're just imprinting whatever you got going on me. I'm in a good mood.
I'm chilling like Bob Dylan tomorrow's Friday. Recording with my booze. Got to read some comics today. Shit is right.
It is right. And so are we, because this is 11 O'Clock Comics, episode 856. And I'm Vince B.
You are Vince B. I am David A. Price.
This I can confirm, and of course, I am reloaded, for I am Nemesis.
Wow. You're an evil bastard, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, a right cunt, as Mark Miller would say.
Wow. Wow, straight off in the episode, you're dropping the C word?
I'm quoting Mark Miller. The man literally, his elevator pitch for the book was, what if Batman was a cunt?
Well, you don't have to say it again.
It's like he's Logan Roy over.
Oh, yeah, because our YouTube algorithm is going to be ruined.
Ah, and I heard the pitter-patter of little feet, little funny feet.
They're upstairs.
Little feet.
Jason, who do we have with us this week?
Well, from your introduction, you're making it sound like we have Dobby the house elf, but in fact,
he died in a drawer.
With the socks.
We have making his triumphant return. I don't even know how many times this gentleman's been on the show, but he is in many ways a favorite of ours in no small part because it feels like we have our journey as a podcast has come along with his amazing journey as a creator from his early days to now the smash success that he is, the world phenom. When he was last on the show, he told us about this new book he was doing called 8 Billion Genies, and that book has wrapped up and is quite splendiferously successful, and now he's back again to tell us what he's up to, and I guess he's proving this week that you can go home again. Welcome back, our good friend, Mr. Ryan Browne.
Wow, that was awesome.
Wasn't it, though?
That was really good. I like that a lot. Yeah. Hi, I'm home again.
I think if we tally the repeat performances on this show, you would probably tie or be very close to the top.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Who would I be tied with? Who do I...
Well,
Tony.
Have you
Tony
beat,
Fleece.
He's on a lot as a co-host.
Scotty is up there.
Yep.
Yeah, but Scotty's, the last few years, it's been like once every 18 months or so. It hasn't been.
I think Daniel Warren Johnson is up there.
Yeah.
Tom King. But but now we're talking single digits with
right. I was going to say,
but with what the hell?
Certainly Mario and Zach.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but as far yes.
Right.
But, Tony's
technically creators.
Tony's a creator, but it doesn't draw as well as Ryan. But he's funny.
Damn. Dude, you just it isn't like you are just when Tony's here. It's like he's your boo.
I love him.
You would kick Dap and I to the curb for a Tony Vince show, but when he's not here, you are vicious. Do you do this to us too? Like, are you Logan?
Yes. No, but
of course he does.
I do it to you.
Being like this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Hey, I have a little promo here.
Oh.
Yes, because this would not be possible if not for cheapgraphicnovels.com. Now, they say, what's in a name? Well, in this case, everything's in a name. Cheap graphic novels. That's what you're going to encounter if you go to this place. And get this month, until June 23rd, it's currently running, there is a massive sale focusing on a son of Samaria who was known by many things in his lifetime. A freebooter, a buccaneer, a usurper, an adventurer, eventually a king. Yes, I'm talking about Conan. If you go to cheapgraphicnovels.com, there is currently a Conan sale. 55% off. until June 23rd. Now you're saying, all right, maybe it's like, what, 1 or 2 Conan books that are on sale? No. Many Conan books for sale. You know those epic collections that Marvel loves to publish? I love them, but let's be honest, they're way too expensive. Like, who wants to pay $49 for a freaking trade paperback? Thick as they may be. You're not going to pay that because there is a ton of epic collections on sale at cheapgraphicnovels.com for $20.25.
Damn.
That's right. That's the right price. It's right in the pocket. And get this, Mahmoud Asrar and Jason Aaron's Conan, which was unbelievably good. You can get the hardcover reprinting 12 issues for $15.75. That's $19.24 off. That's crazy town. Plus all the Marvel Omnibus, the original Marvel years, $56.25 a pop. You're saving $68.75 each. That's more than you're paying. This is unbelievable. Go to cheapgraphicnovels.com and save on Conan. And if you don't like Conan, there's plenty of other stuff that you're going to save. So go there. And here's the deal. Once you place your order for all this Conan stuff, you're going to get a email confirmation saying, yo, thanks for buying all this stuff. And you're going to reply to that email confirmation, say, yes, I would not have known about any of this if not for 11 O'Clock Comics. And then, guess what? You will receive a present. Yep, it's like a butterfly out of your butt. You will get free shipping on your second order. That's insane. We all know how ridiculously expensive shipping is these days. Mm-hmm. You're going to get it for free on your second order.
Free 99?
No, free. So go there.
Free 99, that's what I said.
Cheapgraphicnovels.com.
You're undaunted. I appreciate that.
Yes. I'm excited.
Yes, that was son. You are excited.
I am
Why are you excited?
Because we have a wonderful guest this week, and I love talking to him because he makes me laugh. Not only that, but I get an insight into the comic book making business.
Every time I come on here, I just talk at length about inside baseball, and then like we talk for like an hour, and then I'm like, man, was that interesting?
Yes.
I don't think you have to worry about that. You're always interesting.
Yeah, I'll talk some shop all day.
Excellent, because that's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get this over with. I'm drinking blackberry lemonade.
Lemonade.
Well, no, you're drinking blackberry lemonade seltzer, right?
Yeah.
That's not what you said. You said you're drinking blackberry lemonade. That'd be different.
Yes, it would be different.
Much more flavorful, but probably much more
not as bubbly.
as well. More caloric, I'm sure.
How about you, Jason?
I am drinking pamplemousse, pink grapefruit seltzer myself.
Nice.
It's a seltzer night. Can't stop, won't stop.
I can dig it. What about yourself, Mr. Browne?
I am drinking Gummy Vortex Hazy IPA from Noon Whistle in Lombard, Illinois. And they are an excellent brewery. And they do the Gummy Hazy IPA about as well as anyone. Good stuff.
So is it sweet? I'm guessing it's sweet.
Decently sweet, yeah.
Okay.
But it's like 7.5%, so it's a little boozy, a little sweet.
Nice.
And then I had a wonderful lunch today with Mr. Tim Seeley, where I had a Guinness that then made me very tired, and now I'm ready. I'm coming back to life.
Excellent.
This is it. I'm bringing it for you guys.
How's Tim doing?
He's great. He, that guy has more jobs than anyone I know in comics. It's really kind of amazing.
Got a lot of irons in the fire.
We bring his name up a lot on the show because his concentric circles overlap. I mean, with Fleece, it's always about Seeley and Local Man. And we had him on the show once, I think, right? Way back in the day.
Way back, yeah. I would love to get him on and talk about Masters of the Universe.
Yes,
I was going to say, I think when he came on, we talked about Hack Slash and Masters of the Universe, but that was, I bet you that was a decade ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
You kept saying how homoerotic it is, and I think you pissed him off.
Because I think it was before, we had him on before he did the long series with Norton.
Yeah.
Revival. Yeah.
Revival. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Tim, you can talk to Tim indefinitely about any nerd topic. It is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
I read that witch thing that he just did. What is it called? Hexware?
Hexware, yeah.
Hexware, yeah. It was pretty fun. It was fun, yeah. And it had the good girl art, titillating. So yeah, it worked for me.
Yeah, I haven't read that. I've read the first 2 of Local Man, which I think is great and really fun, and it's being received well. And I think he and Tony are having like a super fun nerdy time with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's it's one of those things that's work but not really work because it's exactly what they want to be doing. So
right.
They got that big crossover issue coming up.
Yeah.
Have they hit you up for to borrow any of your characters?
We were talking about it today, actually. So
okay.
Excellent.
We'll see. I mean, my guys don't have the muscles usually that I think the guys that they're looking to use require. To have. We talked a lot about how he got to use Boof in this new Deathmate spin-off special they're gonna do. So, pretty jealous about that.
I'm mystified. Like Tony's the same way. He's like, I finally got to use Boof in a comic. Why is Boof so special?
I don't know. It's just like it was so ridiculous when it came out, and just kind of the right age for like just total. I mean, it's one of those characters that feels like a little kid made it,
right?
In the execution of every aspect of it. And so, when you're younger, you're like, oh, awesome! Like so much of that Image stuff, I think appealed to kids and teenagers because it felt like it was made with the spirit of a kid or a teenager. So, I don't know. I'm very jealous that he gets to work with Boof.
Well, I think he should return some of that jealousy because you currently have a Kickstarter, and it is blowing up. It is
33 minutes, right? It took to fulfill.
Yeah. That's crazy. It is the return of God Hates Astronauts, and appropriately titled God Hates Astronauts Again. It's a single issue, and you are just blowing past these stretch goals. Like, it's crazy. What are some of the stuff that you're going to throw in here?
Well, I'm running out of ideas. I did not expect it to do as well as it's doing. Not for any particular reason, but just like what I'm finding with this Kickstarter is that Kickstarter's kind of changed the way that it works in terms of it has built in this add-on section. So a lot of people that like God Hates Astronauts are buying God Hates Astronauts through the Kickstarter, and then they're getting to add on like the 8 Billion Genies hardcover or, Krishford stuff or some of my other like Blast Furnace and other books. And that made it hit its goal so fast that I wasn't really prepared. Like I didn't have the stretch goals like spread out super far, but like currently, it comes with a book, it comes with a PDF of the book, it comes with a PDF of the book entirely rescripted where I just fill the word balloons with other jokes. It comes with a digital sketchbook, it comes with a sticker, a book plate. I'm gonna have my wife take a video of me jumping as high as I can and post it on the internet. I'm gonna order a pizza and then sit there and not eat it for an hour and chronicle that. So yeah, I'm just like throwing like little silly things into it, and then I mean, look, I was just trying to do a Kickstarter that wasn't gonna be like an overwhelming thing for me, and now it's become an overwhelming thing, which is a good problem to have. So
right, and it's a short campaign, right? It's only like it's a couple dozen. It's like a dozen and a baker's dozen worth of days. How many days was it? 13?
Yeah, it's a 2-week campaign. So
okay.
It's awesome.
I mean, look, my initial idea was, can I make enough money to sustain making a comic and then kickstarting it and publishing it by myself, and like do, it can't be monthly because I have to do so much in the creation of the book, but like, can I do like 4 or 5 issues in a series via Kickstarter? But the concept of doing like 4 or 5 30-day Kickstarters in a year, I mean, everyone would lose their mind with boredom and like exhaustion from that. So I don't know. Like you make like 50% of your money in the first 2 days. So why the hell am I doing a 30-day thing? Like I even think about like, should I have just done this for a week? Just to like get the comic funded, get it printed. I'm gonna ship it to people immediately and like printing it domestically, and then just like turn it around really fast. So it's just like I don't know, it's an event, but it's also just like a pre-order system. And if this one hadn't worked and people didn't want it, then I would go and make a different book. So it's versus like if I did a new image book, I'd have to work on it for like six months or a year before I'd find like my FOC numbers on issue 1, and like that's a huge gamble versus just like doing like I just finished this comic and then I launched Kickstarter and then I'm gonna get it printed, and so like from me having the files finished, like people are gonna have it probably within a month of that, which is awesome. And that's if that works. I mean, it's a lot of work running the Kickstarter. It's a lot of work. The Kickstarter's done well again because I have a decent back catalog of self-published stuff that I'm selling through it. And so like the fulfillment process, which I'm also going to do myself, is going to take a long time now. So I don't know. I'm like playing fast and loose here and like figuring out this as like a creative model where I don't have the energy to start completely over on a new image book at this point. So I'm going to try something like this for a while.
All right. Well, you wrote the book on Kickstarter back in the day.
It is your eighth project?
7th or 8th, I think. Yeah. I do it. There are people that do it better than me in terms of they have nicer videos and better graphics and like I don't know, just like an overall fancier presentation. The thing that I think is great about Kickstarters, and I've backed a lot of them, and the ones that I back is usually because I really like personally contributing to like what a creator has made. And so when I make my Kickstarters, I just make them very personal, and I make them me. I do it all. It's the best way to get books from me that I will sign and draw on, and that unfortunately is becoming... I mean, fortunately, unfortunately, with 8 Billion Genies, that became a thing that I had to start charging for because of the way that my fan base and market has changed around my books and the resale market and all that stuff. So going back to doing Kickstarter, where it's just like, yeah, I can just draw on these and sign them for people, and everyone will like appreciate them, and it's not just a bunch of people that are just hoping to flip them, or they're not investments as much as they are like being a part of the creative process with me. And so that's what I try to promote with my Kickstarters. And I think people for the most part really respond to it well. So there's other ways to do it, but this is kind of like I made my video in a day. There's other people that like hire and get people to do graphics and stuff. But then I look and like less than 100 views of the video have been completed at this point. So like it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah. And I don't think of slick and overproduced when I think of your work anyway. That's not your aesthetic. So you could do all the bells and whistles you want on the Kickstarter page. I'm with you. I don't really think it matters. People come for you. Yeah. Yeah.
Which was, and that was part of my question earlier, is that I know it's been barely 2 days, so it's too early to tell. You'll have a better idea once you start fulfilling the tiers. But do you have a sense that the people who are backing this, because it is God Hates Astronauts again, are they backing it because they are fans of you, they're familiar with the content, and they enjoy backing you like the three of us do? Or do you have a sense that there might be some new eyeballs, or maybe even just people from Curse Words or 8 Billion Genies, because it's you checking out your Kickstarter and this is maybe their first time messing around in the God Hates Astronauts universe?
I did this one. Like, I made this issue of God Hates Astronauts during the pandemic, and then I never released it because I just like I couldn't figure out a way to make it funny. Like, I did it as like, I'm going to take a vacation during this pandemic, and I'm going to write and draw an issue of something that makes me laugh. And then once I finished, I was like, well, there's no humor in this, so I shelved it. And so then when I was thinking about like what to do after 8 Billion Genies, it's a really weird thing to have such a huge hit like 8 Billion Genies, and like 8 Billion Genies was a massive hit. It like blew away everything else that I've ever done by like a ton. But that doesn't necessarily mean that anyone's going to follow me to the next thing. Mm-hmm. Versus like the stuff that is more like my pure imagination dumped out. I think the fans get like, there's more of a cult following for that kind of stuff. So I decided that I was going to try this and see if people still were interested in like helping me self-publish a book. And then, so I just had that God Hates Astronauts. So I just like recolored it, and then I threw away all the lettering and I re-lettered it from scratch. And I crafted it into something that I was proud of and I thought was actually funny. Like, I kind of found the voice again for it. And so that was like that was going to be the test for doing this monthly or doing like single issue Kickstarters, was something that, I had already started working on. So it was, again, like, it was just like a low risk thing to see if this model would work. And so I then, like, doing the Kickstarter, I basically just sent it out to my mailing list, and I sent it out to people that had backed my previous God Hates Astronaut stuff, and that was it. Like, that's the only real promotion that I did, just to see, like, if people wanted more of this. If I had done, one of my other books that I have, like, in the hopper that I will one day do, if I had done something new, then I probably would have approached it trying to get some new fans. But with this, I was just like, well, let's just see if the people that read God Hates Astronauts still want to read God Hates Astronauts. So, like, there's tiers in there. You can get the omnibus. You can get, if you really are new to it, you can get caught up. But I'm basically seeing all the same names coming back from other, previous Kickstarters. And it's been like, I don't know, it's very, very exciting that I could do this again, like the way that I'm doing it. And
I'm glad.
And so I probably, like, I'm going to stick with finishing out this story, and then I'll move on to something else. But, it was just really like a model to see if I could, like, rally the troops again. And so far it has worked really well.
So at some point, will there be a tier to unlock for the original pandemic version of this issue? That is the last stretch goal that I have so far that's posted, is like a director's cut that will be, I'll put together a PDF of like the original version. And then, like, I write a lot of outlines and stuff and put that in there, and thumbnails, and I'll put together like a full behind the scenes document. Like, it's all this stuff that you can put into a Kickstarter that you would not get, if you just, solicited it and had to go through Diamond and be in stores, So it's one of the things that, like, sure, it costs $20 for a comic, but I am doing a really small batch printing with really expensive printing, like 80-pound paper and 110-pound cover stock with like a soft touch finish, and they come signed, numbered. I draw on them. They come with all this bonus stuff from the stretch goals, and they come with a pack of trading cards and stuff. So, like, all these little things that I can put in this to make it, to me, it's almost like an art project. Right.
Versus, like, yeah, I mean, there is a world where I could do this and I could print it like a Marvel comic on, like, a 40-pound gloss, self-cover kind of thing, and then just put it in a bag and board and send it to you. And I would probably charge like $7-8 or something for that, depending on the print run. But, like, I think people want it to be something nice,
right? And
so I made it something nice, and that is like a personal gamble I took. Like, would someone pay $20 for a single issue of a book? But like, so far so good. But like figuring out the economics, like it's a lot of risk taking, and it's just a lot of me wanting to treat my fans well, and like figuring out a way to make this like totally worth it financially and like experientially, because Kickstarters are an event. So yeah, I mean, if you want to just read the book, just buy some PDFs, like if you want the artifact and the piece of art that, I touch every single one of these, I work on every single one of these, and I think that's a cool experience. Like, I like that kind of stuff with a Kickstarter. And it's completely different than like getting it, comic on the rack.
Right. You don't produce poop, is what you're trying to say.
He does not.
No. But we got to talk.
He may draw it, but
no. We got to talk about this rescripted issue, right?
Yeah.
Because you solicited variations of the GHA title. Yes, and I submitted one because I didn't need 3, because I think the one is pretty damn good. Did you see what it happened to be?
I read it today. Yeah. There were an incredible amount of entries, so I don't remember, but man, there were some that really...
there was a lot, and some of them were funny. Yeah, some of them were funny.
Was the Grandma Huffs Ammonia a submission, or was that your... I'm confused. Was that...
That was my first... that was my go. That was my go. I started it.
Right. Mine was... I mean, I think it's good, and I'd be lying if I didn't think it was the best one. It's Gooch Humps Axolotl.
Yes, I did read that one.
It's pretty good.
I win.
Yeah.
What's going to be better than that?
What do you win? What's the prize? Is it no prize?
No, that's a title. It gets to be the title.
It becomes the title of the book.
If you choose it, but I'm saying, do you really win, or is it a no prize? I mean, do you?
No. I put your name on it. I give you I do a little logo. I did this for the last Kickstarter, and it was a decent winner, but I let all the backers vote on it, and the last one was Grimace's Hamburger Atrocity. This is what the book was called. So I made a Grimace's Hamburger Atrocity logo for it. My favorite from last time was Grandpa's haircut appointment.
That is
good. But it did not win. I let people vote. So
yeah.
But yeah, I'll do the logo. I'm doing print versions of it, which are always super fun. And like, I just use the original art, but I leave part of it blank, and then I draw a head on it for people. And but then, I'm going to send you some art and some bonus stuff, and I haven't really figured out what the whole care package kind of thing would be. But, yeah, it's not a no prize. Nice. It's fun.
It is. It's very fun. I think the head that you drew for Grandma Huff's Ammonia is spectacular.
Thank you.
He makes me smile. He really does.
It's a good one.
Yeah. It's just outstanding. But Gooch Humps Axolotl. Remember that. I'm not tooting my own horn, but
you are. I'm tooting my own horn.
It's okay though. It's a good one.
You're entitled.
Who doesn't like the word gooch? It makes people smile just saying gooch.
Yeah.
Right.
There was one I read today. I can't remember. Man, I should pull it up. But there was one that made me laugh a lot. I can't remember what the first word was. It was like, I don't know. But the H and the A were it was the name Harry Asteroid, like Harrison Ford, like Harry Asteroid, and I thought that's a great name for a character. But I don't think I can take that now because that was someone else's idea. So maybe Hank Asteroid.
I mean, some of these very clever, very very clever. I will say that.
I'm constantly impressed, and I think it's really fun to have everybody kind of collaborate like in this very small way,
right?
Like, and it gets people excited, and it gets people talking to each other, and yeah, it's fun. Yes. So we'll see. I think
we'll see where it goes.
Over 30 comments here.
Yeah, this one comes close. Gristled Hamburger Afterbirth. I like that one.
So you like the gross stuff?
Yeah. Well, no. There's one about Grandma's areolas. What is it? Grandma's hairy areolas. That's funny.
Oh,
I like this one. Gene Hackman Armadillo.
that's one salty armadillo.
Great. Ham again.
Hard to work with.
Garfield heals all. That's good.
Oh, that's true. Garfield would be a cult leader. If
Genuine human appeal.
Yeah. And the thing that also made me squeal was you commented on your own post and you did it in all caps.
Yeah, of course I did.
That's the best. Yeah.
I was enjoying myself. This was great. This is so fun. A little bit of a collaboration. Oh yes, here's the one. It says, "Greetings, Hank Asteroid!" Exclamation point. That's my favorite so far. I'm sorry, I like that one.
Well, we'll see. I don't think it has a big shelf life. We'll see.
So Ryan, do you ever take a moment to look back though on the journey of all these Kickstarters? Because when I think back to the early ones, you talked very openly about the idea that that being given your sense of humor and your style, you were you had to come to terms earlier in your career, I'm not going to, I'm not like a perfect fit for the big two. I don't really like to do those kind of books anyway, but that's where the money is. And, and there was I think with a lot of creators trying to make their way, there was that question of where is my place? Do I have a place? I need to find my place. I mean, now I'm sure for you, this was literally a life's journey, but fast forward to what we're talking about here. You had a fully funded $20 comic in 33 minutes. So do you take a moment to smile and think oh man, that is that's how fantastic is that? To your point, regardless of why people backed it, there were enough people just from your circle of influence that were absolutely giddy to back that, whether it was just to support you or because they're excited for more GHA or some combination of the two. But that is quite an achievement and quite a different place than where you were when you made your first Kickstarter. So do you ever just take a moment to take a nice sip of your hazy IPA and damn, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm aware of it. I'm aware that I'm very fortunate, and it's a weird thing because I always was so blown away by indie creators doing their own things in the 80s and 90s, and then when I wanted to get into comics, all I wanted to do was draw superhero stuff, and I spent years just doing superhero submissions and getting nowhere, and the idea of self-publishing or self-promotion was so terrifying. I just wanted to draw. That's it. And so I went through years and years and years of becoming friends with people that made it in comics and were working in comics, and I was working as a graphic designer at a print shop, which ended up being very helpful for me for learning how to self-publish. I've lived enough of an adult life having zero success to appreciate when I have success.
Right.
And I think that the journey of 8 Billion Genies was so bizarre and just I cannot replicate that. And so now it's a question of what is the new norm. What I went from having to be a little bit of a fun personality in order to put a lot of myself in my comics, and then put a lot of myself into promoting my comics and getting them out there. And I basically just got to this point where I just kind of figured out how to do it all myself, because nobody else would hire me, and nobody would, no one would polish my stuff, not even for me signing away all the rights or anything like that. So, it's been a really weird, long journey. But if you look at the Kickstarters, it's like a build, and
yeah, for sure.
My fans have gotten older with me, and I've had plenty of printing and shipping woes, and all the things that everybody has. But just kind of, I don't know. I guess for me it was just kind of letting go of the trying to be a commercial artist, And I'm still like, guess how often I get asked to work at Marvel and DC. It's zero. Like, I have never turned anything down. Which at this point I'm kind of, that's totally, I don't seek it out either, but it's just like this weird thing that I still have to figure out, even doing a book for Image, and Image is like the only like game in town as far as I'm concerned. Like, they're so wonderful there, and the deal they give you and the ability to basically develop the entire book yourself, and they give you all the advice that you would need, and they deal with all the distribution and the printing and promotion and stuff. But it's so much of it is still, you have to be so self-motivated. Like, you have to do your own editorial, you have to build your own creative team. And so moving from like self-publishing and like scratching together a few pennies doing that to doing Image stuff, which again, like, I mean, I've done Image stuff that did not sell very well, and it's just it's like an extension of self-publishing, working with Image, which is why I keep going back and forth, because I've learned through tons of failure of getting someone to hire me and like me based on like my house style or my ability to like draw Batman well or whatever. Like, through that, I was like, well, I've got to like make this my own thing. And so making it my own thing is the only way that I broke into comics, and it's the only, like, it's what I do well. And that's when I go to Image, that's like a place that I can still do that. So yeah, there's a clear build through all of this to like a plateau, and then all of a sudden 8 billion Genies happened, and now I don't know where I sit. It's it's wild.
Yeah.
Right. Wild thing.
Well, I mean, that, as we talked about, I mean, Tony's on the show a lot, and he's had a similar journey with Stray Dogs, right? Like he was on the grind doing his thing, and he found some reasonable commercial financial success, at least with ponies, and obviously that was definitely quote unquote life changing for him, and that it sort of paying the bills and then some. But it wasn't his thing, right? Like, it's not, obviously he didn't create the ponies, and then he too had done some creator-owned works of varying degrees of success or interest to the world, and then Stray Dogs hits, and it's like, this phenomenon, and he's as we said, he's got Local Man now, and it's like, it's this interesting question of like what comes after, like, because you probably you probably don't want to go into the next thing expecting, it's probably unreasonable to expect to match whatever. When you have something go ultra magma, it's like you have to expect some kind of retrenchment, but it's like, what does that feel like? What does it look like? To what level does it go back to what is normal? And it's a question that's hard to answer. I mean, even Scotty with I Hate Fairyland, right? Like, he's had other books subsequent to that have been successful, but I think it's fair to say nothing has pierced the cultural zeitgeist like I Hate Fairyland, right? And so like, it's an interesting thing, because I think it must feel great to have something that just goes absolutely wild and bananas, but then it unless you're going to do like a Dave Sim service and make it go for 300 issues, it eventually ends and you move on to something else. So, but I like that you're taking a little time to just like digest it all. Yeah, I mean, that seems healthy.
The book, I'm not going to say that it broke me down, but it was by far the hardest thing I've done in my career, because I was drawing it and coloring it, and all of the drawing in that book was incredibly thought heavy. There was, the way that Charles and I work is he'll write a script, and it's a good tight script, and then I add a bunch, just as I like brainstorm and like little details and stuff. And then he goes back and he rewrites, and sometimes makes pretty significant changes to the script in a lettering pass based on what I do. So with 8 billion Genies, like, because what we were doing was very complex, like the acting that I had to do with the characters was so subtle, and then we just, once we knew it was a hit, which took, until issue 4, honestly, we were just like, well, we're just going to make the issues as long as we need them to be. And so they issue 7 was 32 story pages, and I was coloring it, and it was still on a monthly schedule. So just working on that book and being late for 6 months, working on a super, super demanding hard thing that then I would have to color afterwards. It was a lot. It was a lot. And then in success, there's a lot of pressure on sticking the landing, and especially figuring out that final issue, and just I don't know. It was a type of pressure that I'd never felt before, because we had so many readers, and that first issue over all the printings sold more than 100,000 copies.
Amazing.
Which is just insane.
It's awesome, man.
I mean, image books sometimes do that, but it's usually it's not very common, or it's some well established A-list creator, yeah, I don't know. It was just such a weird experience, and now I needed to not do it for a while.
Sure. I mean, the last time we saw you, which and I put saw in quotes because it was very short. Normally at a convention, we would have plenty of time to chat you up over the weekend. Talk about life, the universe, everything. A little baseball, maybe a little ridiculousness.
Yeah.
But you guys were at New York Comic Con last October, and as we were, and it was damn hard to even catch up with you, which was great. And we actually, on our recap show, we talked about how it was we would have loved to have gotten a chance to speak to you more, but it was really fun to see you swamped literally with lines wrapping around, and that was neat to see, and it was we were really happy for you. And but that has to be I'm sure it cuts two ways. No one's gonna small violin, no one's gonna cry for you, but I'm sure it is. Obviously, it's financially and from an ego perspective really gratifying, but at the same time, I'm sure it's also very, very tiring. So I assume, was that so 8 Billion Genies got optioned by Amazon back in May or June of 2022, right? Sometime around there. Yeah,
we announced it in June.
Okay, so New York Comic Con was probably at least one of the first major cons after that news, but did you guys do the gauntlet of did you do a con gauntlet? There was lots of other stops too. That was it a couple months where you were just kind of going through that post Amazon news gauntlet, or was it just a few shows? Was that typical of your life, what we saw in New York, or was that just an outlier?
It was just a few shows. It was. I'm trying to remember what the first show was after that Amazon announcement, but because it may have been a C2E2. C2E2 schedules, C2E2 in August last year. I think that was the first one. And that was nuts. And that's when I learned that where this had taken me as a creator, because I spent the whole time being silly and drawing on people's books and signing everyone's books and being excited that people were buying my book, and then just eBay exploded with all of them after the show. And I was like, whoa, okay. I guess I'm not allowed to do that anymore. And that took a lot of fun out of it, for sure. And that's when I signed up with Comic Sketch Art, because I needed some degree of protection, which is strange. And so every show that I've done since has been a madhouse, and super positive and super fun, and but it's just a different thing, because I'm used to just sitting behind a table the entire time and hustling and trying to be funny and trying to get people to pick up the book and actually look at the book and all that stuff. But yeah, it's such a completely different experience. And so then, what the next show is going to be, where people have already had me sign all their books, I have no idea. It's over now, I guess, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. And it was also really interesting because doing comic shows, I just stopped bringing all of my self-published stuff, because there was no point, because it was just all 8 Billion Genies. It's all anybody wanted. It was all I couldn't sell God Hates Astronauts to people. I could barely sell curse words. It was just like this one thing that really connected with people, which I was super proud of, but it just changed the landscape of how I was doing my job for so long. Just totally strange, like, experience. And I'm really proud of the book, and I think it connected to people a lot because of what we were trying to say with it. And it, but if we hadn't had that Amazon announcement, which we were able to get because we had a bidding war of 27 suitors. And,
yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
And through doing that, we were able to negotiate all sorts of stuff, like an early press release. Like, places did not want to do that because, it's so far away from the thing actually coming out. But we were able to negotiate that. And we put out the first 3 issues, and our numbers continued to decline. Our reviews were good, but then when the announcement came out, all of a sudden, it just like exploded. Like, all of a sudden, it was worth looking at because Amazon thought it was good. So, which is what we were hoping would happen, and it happened, and it was great. And it was just so weird to not have to fight for an audience, which, like that's a super amazing privilege that we got, and I totally get it that the big Hollywood announcement makes things, gain credibility and, makes people want to put eyeballs on. It makes it easier for stores to sell them. Like, everything about the process made total sense, and I'm very fortunate with all of it. It just was different than I had ever experienced.
Yeah.
So, blessing and a curse.
Right.
I mean, not really a curse. There was all sorts of new stressors because of it.
Right.
I'm not going to say that it's a curse. It just is new
experiences you had to learn to deal with. Yeah.
It was new. Yeah, it was new things that I had to deal with. I had to learn to deal with a lot of people that were trying to make a lot of money off of me at comic shows, and I don't like that, and so that took a lot of, like, comic shows. Like, I had massive lines that, like, seemed to never end, and it was so thrilling, but also I would still have to deal with these pockets of people that were just there to figure out how much money they could make off me. And that's like, I don't know, I'm just trying to entertain people. It's just a weird.
Yeah.
I've heard nothing but good things about comic sketch art. So, has your experience since you've worked with them helped with that? I mean, has it felt like a positive partnership for you?
Yeah, I think so. Because, look, most people that are comic artists like me, they're, they're gentle. I don't know. They're gentle. They get pushed around pretty easily. Like, and a lot of people that, are doing this to figure out how to game the system and make as much money as they can aren't necessarily going to be, it's nice to have someone in the middle who can be the asshole and can enforce, like, oh, you have to pay for these signatures, which, is not anything that I ever wanted to do. But, I had to, I had to, like, protect myself. It was really a really strange place to be.
Yeah. Well, congrats, man. Either way, I mean, it's still super cool. I mean, it's still cool to see. I mean, it's, again, I remember I think we were talking about this a few weeks ago randomly, but I remember you and I we shared a cab. This is pre-Uber. So we shared a cab to the airport, and we were walking through the airport, and you were telling me how you were like going to start doing books with Charles Soule. And, like, that he was, like, a really funny dude and stuff, and you were like pitching me on it, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting, because, like, at the time I think Charles had only done some Marvel stuff, and it was not comedy, and you were like, no, he's actually a funny guy, like, we really hit it off. And I remember thinking at the time, like, okay, we'll see how this goes, like, Charles Soule doing comedy, I don't know, okay, and then you guys have I'm sure you've become very personal friends, but I mean, you've been artistically collaborators now for what? I mean, how many years now? I mean, it's really long. I mean, it feels like it's been a really long time between Curse Words and this. I mean, how many years are we talking?
Curse Words was 4 years, and then this book was like a little over. It was almost a year and a half of, like, development to finish. So, we're super close friends. He's one of my closest friends, and like, an incredible collaborator. his brain works very like it works very well with my brain. Like there's some things that he's super good at that I am terrible at, and I think I get him to loosen up a lot, and a lot of the humor in that book comes from him trying to like entertain me and get me to laugh and like find things that I will think are fun to draw. So he is a lawyer, right? Like he's incredibly good at systems and like figuring out logic and figuring out paths for narratives and stuff. Like he's got that brain that's excellent for that, and that's stuff that I cannot do to save my life. But then I've got a degree of levity and finding quirk and humor in tiny details, where he's more of like a big picture, what does this all mean kind of thing. And so I think those two together work extremely well. We had a great time with Curse Words, and Curse Words was successful and has its following, but it's more of like a hodgepodge of just like back and forth visual gags and ideas, and like you've like silly weird characters, and so that was like more of entertaining each other kind of book. And then 8 Billion Genies was like all right, we lock down this high concept thing and then become super focused, and then try and find a little humor in the darkness and the seriousness and the like incredible moments of like human tragedy that the book has. So it's a really fun working relationship, and we'll do another book together for sure. The stuff I do with him is different than the stuff I do alone, and then the stuff he does with me is different than the stuff he does with other creators. So we're kind of meeting in the middle, I guess.
Yeah, that's great. Isn't that the definition of a true collaboration? That you both bring something to the table that can't be had or found anywhere else. Yeah, and it's only when you get together.
Yeah, and it's nice to see people like respond to that well. I've explained like our collaborative like efforts it's a lot of back and forth. It's not a finished script that I just follow all the, every, like, he doesn't write what characters are wearing and what's happening in the background and,
trust,
or like what season it is, or like, so I think about those things. With 8 Billion Genies, there was such a passage of time that like a lot of his scripts were about the characters and about setting up these moments that were like important to keep moving the story along, but there wasn't a lot of like, what is everybody wearing here? What does everybody look like? What, we haven't seen them in like 8 months. How has the bar changed? And like things like that was like constantly activating my brain. So it wasn't just like another scene of people talking, another scene of people talking. Like every scene I had to be like, all right, well, here's this little side narrative that I'm telling about where all their clothes are coming from and how they're altering their clothes to make them into new clothes. And like in one scene, that character is wearing the other person's shirt because I don't know why. Maybe they swap shirts for fun, like because they are locked down in a bar and like wearing each other's clothes and gaining weight, losing weight. I did all sorts of little stuff. Growing a beard and then a mustache, and then like I had all these little like detailed things that Charles was like doing all the heavy emotional and like narrative lifting, and then I would do all the like color and edge work and detail work about like kind of putting in clues and hints of what was going on in this world, what we saw that wasn't in the scene, because like as we went on, we were jumping such incredible moments in time. I would just have to put little hints of what had happened before and like come up with little ideas of, how things had resolved from the character's past that like maybe no one picked up on, and that's fine. But like for me, that was my, it required a lot of brain power, but it was fun. It was like fun to like find little background stories that I was, throwing in there for color, but also just like kind of telling myself these little stories about,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like the main character Alex wears this shirt, and it's a Detroit Pistons Bad Boys shirt from like 1989, and I grew up in Southeast Michigan, and everybody had that shirt, and so because we set it in Michigan, you know, I thought that was a really fun shirt to like give it some local like color, but then that shirt itself, like, because the shirt has like a basketball with a skull and crossbones on it, then when Alex has his genie, he has a shirt that has basically a skull and crossbones on the shirt. So, like inadvertently, that kind of became like the image for the book. This happy little dude with a skull and crossbones. And then the story of his shirt as it goes through, like eventually when they're traveling, he like cuts the sleeves off, and then it starts getting holes in it. And in one of the final sequences, when you see his room, it's like framed and like frayed up on the wall as like a sign of his journey and stuff. So it's just little stuff like that I have so much fun figuring out within, like, once Charles figures out all the hard stuff that like really intimidates me, narratively and character wise, and then if I can just like color around the edges, I think that stuff is super, super fun.
I mean, let's be honest. The design of the genies was massively brilliant, because like it's those. I mean, it's this like iconic, almost graphic art image, right? That can be tweaked a little bit for each genie, but like it's iconic, right? It's like, and it just sticks out. And I think that like your aesthetic for designing those genies was just, you know, a stroke of genius, because it's emblazoned in people's minds, right? If you read the book, like, no matter how much people retain 10 years from now about the story or not, they'll remember the genies, like, without question, you know, like, so kudos to that.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, that was one of the big moments of figuring out what the hell the book was going to be. And if you like how it was going to look and feel, because the original concept was just like a genie, and so it was just like, how do I have the blue shirtless,
like Will Smith in blue with blue skin, yeah,
right, yeah,
right.
And like, if everybody has one, how do I draw a scene with 8 people when they all have their genies? Like, how do I fit that all in frame? And so, you know, like a lot of thought went into it, and I did a lot of bad, completely off drawings that I was just like immediately knew that was wrong. But then it just came down to, like, if they're going to be all over the place, they've got to be small and they've got to be simple. And then from that, I really wanted to develop a like high contrast so that they felt like they didn't belong, that they were otherworldly. And so that's where we started leaning towards like you know, the cosmic-y kind of Starfield thing, and then like finally just kind of figuring out that like if you have this little dude who wants you to trust him or her with your greatest inner deeper wish, like they need to be friendly and they need to be familiar. And so like they want all they want is for you to wish, and so you have to be able to trust this little thing with your deepest inner desire. And so that went into like, all right, well they look like you and they're friendly and they're you know, cartoon dudes, and they're small because I'm gonna have to draw a bunch of them in each panel. And so like all of those elements kind of combined to just me kind of ripping off Adventure Time little dudes, and then, you know, like setting the entire structure of the way the book looked based around them and the logo. You know, the type of stuff where I think about starting a new book, I was like, oh, I gotta figure out the look, I gotta figure out the logo, I gotta figure out how it's gonna visually like feel like starting from scratch. And you know, that's the kind of creative work where you can't just be like, oh yeah, I'll do A, B, and C. It's the kind of stuff where you have to like search and be like, I'll pull a little from over here and a little from over here and a little from over here. And I've never done a style that looks like the style this other person did in this book, and then trying to make it my own kind of thing. So, that kind of creativity through like lots of exploration is super daunting about finding a new working on a new series. But like when you're in it, and like when I was working on 8 Billion Genies, it's like drawing those genies was so fun and so easy, and so like that's where I got to act and I got to cartoon, and there was moments in the script where Charles would describe what the genies were doing, but usually that was my little playground for making little narratives. There's a lot of sequences of the genies where there's very important character work that Charles has written, and then I'm just kind of playing around the edges with what the silly genies are doing in the background and like making my own little story. Which I when I make comics, I always make them to be understood without words, so that they like the pictures can tell you like the story from beginning, middle, and end without the words. So when I was playing around with the genies, I was doing that a lot, where I was like trying to tell a story in the background of 5-6 consecutive panels with what the genie was doing, whether it's like making a drink and sharing a drink with another genie, and then the genie throws up and like is drunk, and there's one scene where Alex is telling this really important story and his genie sitting next to him, and I just kind of made it over the course of the page that the genie is doing something. You can't really tell what he's doing, but he's focusing on Alex. And then in the final panel, he just holds up this drawing that he did of Alex that he was just like working on while Alex was telling the story. And it's, of course, it's like a bad drawing, but like that brought me like such entertainment and such joy. Oh yeah, this is just a really sad story this man is telling in a bar, and then in the background, like it's just like a genie who decided that it would be fun for him to try and do a drawing of the human he's connected to. So yeah, fun stuff.
The preliminary stuff that you were talking about on a series, that's a lot like the first couple of days of playing an RPG. Right?
Oh, yeah.
It's totally all the super necessary stuff that you need to invest total concentration and energy into. And if you don't have the insight, how to do it correctly in what order, it could very well impact negatively the series forever. Right? It could cause it not to be successful, i.e. you could die in the RPG. You could buff up very quickly and get a bunch of stats, readers, and then if you don't have everything stacked perfectly, then it's not going to, something will happen. And it just amazes me how much of making art is, making your grunts dig in Warcraft. Right? A lot of the mind power and the creative energy is just building, a lumber mill in order to get your resources up. It sounds stupid, but it's very similar.
It is. And a thing that I like to do in my comics is I put details in that I don't know the story behind. And so that can give something to explain later.
Well, you're smarter than you need to be.
Well,
you really are.
That gives you a chance to like a little bit of mystery that you don't necessarily have to explain.
Oh, but yeah, totally.
If later, you might need a mystery, and so putting in a little detail that is not fully fleshed out, and then later it's like, well, this is why, I have this scar, or this is, why I wear this shirt or jacket or something like that. I think that that's always like just throwing out little hints and little details, and Charles and I have absolutely, had moments in Curse Words and in 8 Billion Genies where I threw in some details that were then later used as actual story moments, like that, at the time didn't mean anything, but then they served a purpose, like narratively later, and to like make a connection. So, I don't know. I always think about Lost. I think about Lost all the time, and how exciting it was and how much it fell apart once mysteries were solved.
Exactly.
And so the question is how to not be lost, and like how to come in so heavy and so exciting and have so much mystery, and then finding something worthwhile to explore after you've understood the mystery. And that show, it didn't really work out. But
that's random that you brought that up. Have you read the Vanity Fair article?
No,
that came out this week.
No,
it's weird that you bring it up. Vanity Fair ran a whole their main article this week was about Lost and the toxic environment and how it all came apart as the show went on. So that's as a professed Lost fan, you need to get on the interwebs and read that. I read it this week and I was
I think a lot of the reasons why Lost kind of went to the toilet in the end is they didn't have the answers going.
Yeah, they didn't have the answer. Yeah, and to be fair, to be fully transparent, this article is more about the the interpersonal dynamics, where they Harold Perrineau and Daniel Day Kim and a few others say basically it became very much racist. Huh? Or the white characters and actors were getting all the great attention in scripts, and the people of color were basically being red-shirted and being put to the background, and it was really frustrating. And I guess they blame it, part of it, on the fact that there's that whole Friends model where all the 6 Friends actors agreed to always go back to ask for more money together, and they never broke ranks. And when Lost became a mega hit and it was time to get new deals, that was the agreement. But then they balked, and suddenly Matthew Fox and Evangeline Lilly, they got massive raises, and the people of color got no raises. and Harold Perrineau was I was out. I'm all right, well, but there's a lot more to it, but it also does, of course, get into the what we're alluding to, which is the script part of it, where it just was untethered, and they also rotated writers. Writers would come and go, and so it unraveled. I mean, for sure.
Daniel Day Kim is so handsome, though.
He is
super handsome.
He is. He's very handsome.
So Ryan, I mean, we've had enough creators on that have had stuff optioned that I know that you probably can't say much, in the sense that you can't say anything that's already not publicly out there. But so rather than ask you when's it going to be a show, I guess what I'm more interested in, since hopefully you can talk about this, is what's the experience just in terms of functionally, you guys, like you said, you had a bidding war, which is awesome, and then you obviously signed a deal, and presumably bidding war meant great economics and optionality for you guys, which is awesome. But to whatever extent you're able to comment on it, is it a black box from there? You hand it off, and then what comes of it? Do you have no touchstones too? Do you have some? Do you get updates through an agent? I'm just curious, what, again, and obviously only comment on what you're comfortable with, think you can comment, but what's the process like in terms of once you have something optioned for big doings? Is it just a vortex for you to avoid until you hear public announcements, or are you much more aware of the process step by step, but you just are sworn to secrecy?
Charles and I are very involved.
Okay.
In all the decision making. We are not involved in writing in any way. We are going to let someone else who knows how to write a movie or a show do that. With the writer's strike, I don't think much is moving forward right now on it, which is, it is what it is. But we email and have, video chats with all the basically the heads of the Amazon studios. And they're all wonderful people, and they all seem to be extremely good at their jobs and are a delight to talk to. And so we had many conversations, we had 27 suitors, and the bidding war lasted over a month of just constant Zoom chats with Hollywood people and directors and writers and all sorts of fancy executives and stuff. And honestly, when we were narrowing it down, Amazon was offered us an amazing deal, but they also had the people working there were wonderful, and they were just they got it. They had a vision for it. They understood what we were doing. and some of the other places absolutely did too. But Amazon gave us a great deal, and they worked with us. Like that the press release, which as I said, was like beyond significant for getting people to read our book and to pay attention. And it was just like so like that was just the switch flipped when that came out. And so like so far it's just been nothing but great. And so they ask us, what do you think about this talent or this creative being involved? And then, once it finally goes into production, like, their plan is to do like a whole universe of storytelling starting with a feature film that adapts our book. And then probably a TV series as well that expands on the concept, and then maybe more and merchandise and all this stuff. Wow. So, I mean, it's beyond life-changing and significant. But we've had curse words optioned multiple times, and nothing really happens, and it does not seem positive. And everybody I know has books that have been optioned and never get anywhere and never get any traction. But the investment that Amazon made was significant, and I think the odds of this being a movie are very good, which is strange to say because nothing gets made in Hollywood. So, maybe nothing will happen, but like they're moving forward, they're working on it, they're attaching creative, and it's all super thrilling and exciting. And so Charles and I are executive producers. Again, we're not writing it. We're not, gonna be in a writer's room or anything, but I do get input on Genie design, which was important to me. And we get to make our own merch based on the comic, which was something that we retained the rights to. So we're talking about various merchandising things for stuff related to the comic, which is super fun as well.
That's fantastic.
Sweet. I can't wait to see the Genies translate into plastic.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yes, it would.
Yeah, it will. Man, it's one of those things where I would love to fast forward and see how this all shakes out. I just want to know how this is all going to shake out, and we have some pretty good momentum until the strike. So, I hope everything ends well for everyone in that situation, but I hope it doesn't take a long time.
Yeah, that's a whole situation, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's the ship again.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Jason has the Titanic in his backyard. It bubbles to the surface.
Well, it's his Titanic, so yeah.
Right.
It's okay. The first half of the show is my children all having massive freakouts about bedtime. So.
Oh, but that was awesome, though. I knew I heard the little pitter patter of feet.
Little feet.
Oh yeah.
You ever been on a cruise?
No.
It's a random question.
No, well, I'm just thinking of the Titanic. You've never been on a cruise, Ryan?
No, I've never been on a cruise.
Don't bother. It's terrible.
Well, it's not. No, number one, it's not terrible. But if you love to eat and drink, then a cruise is wonderful because that's
Ryan and his wife are both paper thin, so they clearly don't like to eat.
I know. I was pretty apathetic on the topic of cruises. Like I've been to a good number before this last one, but the last one was a themed cruise. Like there was an agenda. Those are the ones you want to go on because it's all fun and there's things to do and people to listen to. And yes, it's like a themed cruise is like maybe an 80s cruise, 80s music or no, I'm just saying. I don't particularly like 80s music, but
in my head,
I think
you just hate
cruise,
everything.
Like to me, a cruise is like the gathering of the Juggalos.
Like,
I would love to float through it undetected as a ghost to observe it, but I don't want to be there.
That is exactly right.
Yes, 100,000 guests, maybe 17 teeth. So.
I was one and done on a cruise. My mother-in-law wanted to go on a cruise, so we went on a cruise, and the Wood family was like, we're good. We're good. Once was enough, thanks.
Okay. You see, there was recently a story about this idiot, and I don't use the term loosely, who thought it would be fun to just jump off the side of the boat at night, thinking that he'll be, I'll just swimming around, I'll be okay, and the boat will just wait for me. Boat did not wait for him, and he was lost at sea.
Dude, I mean, that happens more than you realize. My buddy, aka the Kennedys, his sister's fiance, they were on a cruise to celebrate her engagement, and he fell off the boat and died.
Well, that wasn't intentional, though. This idiot jumped off the side of the boat.
True. No, that's true. But either way, though, like, literally, it was like one of those things where, like, they're like, oh, where is he? What? Oh, wait, can you find him? Oh, he fell off the side and is gone forever. Like, It was like, okay, like, yeah, pretty crazy.
I saw a headline today or yesterday, between 2009 and I think 2019, of the 212 reported overboard incidents, less than 50 were rescued.
There you go. So should
sense.
you go on a cruise, Ryan Browne, don't fall off.
Do you know how hard it must be to stop a cruise ship and throw it in reverse?
Yeah. Well, they don't. That's the thing. I don't think that there isn't a reverse.
It's a wide turn.
You're either gonna be drown, or you're gonna be food.
And let's be honest, right? I mean, if you're falling off of a boat, you're either probably intoxicated or, just given the demographics of cruise goer, probably not in the best of shape.
Yep.
And even if you are, like, you have frigid cold water with, like, very, very big waves, it's just a bad situation.
You are such a dick.
Let's just burn it to the ground.
Yeah. Given the demographics of the cruise goers, like.
Well, you've been on a lot of cruises, have you not?
Yes, I have, and for every hirsute fat person, there is an equal number of people that are in shape. So I would.
Fair, but you need to be an extremely good swimmer to survive in the middle of the
you're
ocean
dead.
For even
you're
an
dead.
hour.
You're dead. Yeah, you're dead.
Mean,
How long do you think you could last?
In the ocean, like in the
ocean.
deep sea.
Yeah, but like, so we're talking salt water, so you're, more buoyant.
I mean, an hour would be a triumph.
I would last about 3 seconds. I would shit my heart out because
right, yeah, the panic.
Because I think like you'd panic, and then maybe you could get yourself to just float. But like you said, the salt water, you'd still be panicked if And I think if you went for more than like 10-15 minutes, it would feel like hours because no one's going to rescue you. And I don't know, man. Like
I'd be food.
But like if you did like a dead man's float and just like on your chest and just like picking your head up slowly and breathing.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, that would require right, but that would require like a level of mental rigor, like in that situation that I don't think I'd have. I'd be like, I'm done. Like I'm out.
If it was just like an Olympic competition, like how long can you exist in the ocean?
Oh, well, like you knew going in, like you really probably weren't going to die. It was just like, how far could you last?
Yeah, like, there is a man with a life preserver, sitting right next to you.
I don't know.
I still went to it.
I don't know. I don't think as long as
do you think you could last? I don't know.
Well, there
I
are.
think I'd probably be able to survive longer, like for some reason during daylight. Like if it's nighttime and dark, then I'm just like I'm shutting down.
No,
there was a great movie. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was a shark movie kind of, but it was like
Blake Lively.
Yeah, they went overboard and they were floating in the water, and it was so fucked up because like they're just floating in the water in the dark, and like it's how awful that would be and how cold it gets, and then. Nightmare. And then they get eaten by sharks.
She's
like,
cute.
Spoiler alert: they get eaten by sharks. But it's like a pretty terrible way to go because you're in a state of panic the entire time, and then eventually you do die. So it's like okay.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if they do eat you, they probably bite you and then drag you down. So you probably lose. You're either going to die of you're either going to drown, or blood loss. While you're drowning. So it's not.
I think you just drown. I think you just get pulled down and drown, right? It's like.
But what if they swim and chew at the same time?
All the people that fall to death die of heart attacks. So many of them die of heart attacks on the way down. If it's a long enough fall.
If you were in the deep sea and a shark was pulling you, I think you would likely drown, right? Because they would be pulling you with such force underwater, you'd be panicked. So the water would just fill your lungs, you'd be out.
Yeah. I would suck the water in to drown faster.
Yeah. That's one of the worst ways to go. I actually think that is one of the worst ways to go is drowning.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
On that pleasant note, that's
nobody ever choked and was like, "Wow, let's do that again."
I feel like I could talk the shark down.
Yeah,
it's not Jabberjaw.
But there's more than one shark, though. There's lots of sharks.
Yeah, that's right.
You'd be dealing with lots of different egos.
You do is you got to play the sharks against each other, and then the sharks start fighting each other, and then you swim away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're that.
I would try
more
and
instinctive forces of nature than that.
I would definitely try and win over the hammerhead shark first.
Oh,
because
of course.
Number one, he doesn't look like all the other ones, so they obviously make fun of him.
Oh, of course.
So he's vulnerable to begin with, and I think he would come over to my side. Right? Yeah. And then you're just like, yeah, that great white, he called your mother a whore. And so then they would fight, and they would start bleeding, and all the other sharks would go crazy because of the blood, and you could hopefully swim away.
Yeah. Now, with all this said, it is very much on my bucket list to do a shark cage dive.
Oh, stop! No way! No way! I can't even think about it. You're giving me the odds.
I would love to do that. That would be super exciting.
No, that's ridiculous.
You'd probably have a better chance of talking the shark down if you were in a safe cage.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was like, no, I'm just going to eat you. And you're like, but seriously, how are you? How are you? And then you could just get into it with them, and they wouldn't
have a moment.
Eat you. Yeah.
Yeah, you can have a moment.
No. And they'd be like, no one's ever asked me how I'm doing. And then you would just go.
Interesting.
Yeah. Try sometime. People love to talk about the problems I have. You just
listen. This should be
the
next.
Man.
This should be your next Kickstarter. This should be the last thing to unlock.
Okay.
You going in a shark cage trying to talk a shark down.
Well, he's already not brushing his teeth, so
yeah.
I think you need to rethink
that's
this.
one of them.
Yep.
Give me an idea for a stretch goal. Go.
Jeez.
Well, I'll give you a little bit of a backstory.
Okay.
Give me an idea of a stretch goal.
Uh-huh.
Keeping in mind that whatever it is, I have to produce one and mail one to every single person that bought the comic.
Right.
So if it's something that costs $5 and I have to produce and ship 500 of them, or if it's something that's large that doesn't fit in the box of the comic, it's probably not a good idea.
Okay. Stretch goal. You will cut up and mail each backer a 1-inch square of your worn underwear.
Oh my God.
See, that's going to cost you nothing.
It's good thinking. I like the thinking because it doesn't make the package heavier.
No, it costs you nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's all right. I'll think about that one.
It would have to be boxers and a lively print. Right. We just don't want gray or black. It has to have some kind of print on it.
It's just, matter.
How about you'll design a pixelated NFT in the visage of your choice for anyone that?
Why?
Because again, like you wouldn't have to ship it.
But it's an NFT, so that would turn a good number of people away from him.
I think NFT stands for "Nah, fuck that."
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Digital stuff is like the best, right? Because
that's
my time putting it together.
I mean, I have no interest in NFTs. They don't do anything for me, but you know how I am with ephemera. I could care less about ephemera generally. So
yeah, but like stretch goals don't need to have like collectible value as much as they just make the experience, deeper. It's
really weird. Like I have to tell you, like how many times I've done a Kickstarter or bought original art from someone, and they mail you the stuff and it's great, and then like they throw in things, and I know that like it's all gravy and it's very thoughtful, like you're throwing extras, it's cool. Mm-hmm. But I'm so often like struck with what the fuck am I going to do with this? Like, because I'm like, yep. I don't want to keep it, but like it feels bad to throw it out. Like they produced it cost them money, they sent it to me as like an extra, but I don't have any interest in having it. And it's always this weird, it almost feels like I'm being burdened. Like when I'm like sent like bookmarks and buttons and stickers, and it's like I don't have need for any of these things. Like
I always throw it away. But
yeah,
some people like them, and having more physical value is like it's a nice thing to get, like a meteor package. But I think the stuff that's significant and fun is just like the behind the scenes stuff, the digital stuff. Like I'm going to end up doing, tons and tons and tons of drawings for this comic or for the Kickstarter. And so, one of the stretch goals is you get a sketchbook of all those drawings. So when I'm done with all of them, I'm just going to give you a PDF.
Yeah, no, that's super fun. I like that.
Like stuff like that. So if you don't care about it, you don't have to open the linked file.
Yeah.
But if you do care about like getting the script and like seeing the different stages of development and stuff, like it's like I like to think of them more as like bonus features, behind the scenes stuff, and it's not for everyone, but the people that like it really like find value in it.
Yeah.
I have another idea.
I think that. Oh, go ahead. You're good.
Condiment handprints. Ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise. Buy a stack of cheap ass comic backer boards. Don't have to be acid free, and just do a condiment handprint on a backing board.
All right, great.
It's like a little art project as well.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you don't have to make it into a turkey. Just this is Ryan Browne's handprint in mustard.
I love the arts and crafts stuff.
Right.
I had on the Curse Words omnibus, one of the levels was like the priceless jewels edition, and I got all these adhesive gems that were just like little kid gems, and I stuck them all over the book, and then
you bedazzled it basically.
I bedazzled it.
Yeah.
And then I bought library cards and like a library card like adhesive holder for the inside of the book, and I aged them in like tea, and then I burned them, and then I wrote on them.
The Matt Kint
like,
move. He does that a lot.
Yeah, and I wrote on them the library card like a list of famous like magic users who had checked out the book beforehand, and I had a ton of fun with that project, and then I think most of the gems just kind of fell off in shipping, but still it was pretty fun.
Yeah, hands on. But I don't want you to have to do all that work, because that was probably a significant amount of your time.
Just significant. I'm doing one for this new Kickstarter that's called like the God Hates Billion Genie Knots edition, and I have a lot of the local comic store day sketch cover 8 Billion Genies, so I'm just tearing the sketch. I'm like carefully taking the sketch cover off. I'm doing a God Hates Astronauts drawing on it, and then I'm using a long arm stapler to staple it onto a copy of the new God Hates Astronauts book. So it's
nice.
like a weird cross promotion, shameless thing to make the book have more value.
It's very smart. Very smart.
Yeah, and those I'm doing 50 of those, and I am looking forward to that. Like I like the arts and crafts projects with it. And again, like that's not anything you can do if you go through the direct market and solicit in Diamond or whatever. Like that's not a thing.
Oh, you're dating yourself. Keep talking about Diamond. Diamond's dead, man. Like, especially for the image. Image is straight Lunar now.
Man, I know. Well, I have no insider info beyond what Image told all the creators and basically told everyone else. But I was just thinking, like, damn, how do you freight all of those books? Like all the Walking Dead trades alone, how do you freight those from Diamond to Lunar? And how many trucks? How expensive? Like, that's such a wild decision. To just like books are. I have books and freight and shipping on the brain because I self-publish, but like, how the hell are they going to get all those books there?
Well, I could be wrong, but I assumed because Skybound is such a mass. I mean, Skybound's worth more than Image, like as a company by itself. So I assume Skybound like handles their own warehousing and fulfillment, don't they, or no?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I just figured they did. I mean, they've raised hundreds of millions of dollars in capital in the last year, so I just assume
maybe
they
he
probably
has
got
a
that
genie.
shit on lock.
He's a genie.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
I got to say, like, it's interesting. We've talked a lot over the years about, like, the three of us about Kickstarter, and there's obviously it's matured and there's lots of different ways to go about it. But I mean, I do genuinely appreciate a thing like what you're doing, where you are trying to throw lots of interesting things in it to make it feel like worthwhile. But also, it's something that is at least on some level not something that like would be easily solicited through previews. Because I mean, it seems like the most common model now, at least with the stuff that gets funded, is, we're going to ask you to fund it, and then you're going to fund it, and then it's going to be in previews the next month for cheaper than what you just paid for it. Yeah. And like, I fully acknowledge I have backed lots of things that fit that bill, but I did get to a point where I'm like, why am I doing that? Like it was one thing when I thought like, oh, these are really interesting projects that I don't know it'll ever see the light of day if I don't back it. So I'm gonna back it because I'd like to see it. But like now it's like there's the new megalith thing, and listen, I mean, I love Matt Kinn. He's one of my favorite creators. So like I'm super happy for him. Like it's crazy but it's weird to me like why I struggle with the logic of why someone is paying $125 for a hardcover that they will absolutely be able to get like unlimited quantity for $75 in previews in a few months. Like, yeah. It's not like this isn't going to happen if they didn't back it. So it's like, that's the part I don't understand. So at least like with something like yours, it's like, no, like this is cool. Or, we were big fans of the Tales to Enlighten anthology. And so when the second anthology came out, it was much more expensive. It was much larger. And, but it was like, I'll back that in a second because sure, like, because it's not going to, that probably isn't going to exist if it doesn't get funded, and I want it. But a lot of the campaigns these days are so different. It's almost like these publishers are basically just pre-set. I mean, well, it's not like they are. They actually are just pre-selling. They're just taking the cost. They're putting cost certainty into their models. It's like they know for a fact that they've covered their production costs, and then everything else is gravy. And it just fascinates me that, like, as a fan, why you'd want to buy into that calculus. Because like the book's going to happen anyway. Like it's absolutely going to happen.
I mean, some of that stuff is they don't tell you, and then some of it is maybe you hope to get it early, but then some of these Kickstarters have completely failed with that, and they've gotten to the direct market before Kickstarter backers. Some of it is just like, oh, I can add on, have some personal creator touch. Like I've never done it that way with the Genies Astronauts Omnibus, the hardcover. Charles and I asked if they wanted to do, if this was during the pandemic, asked if they wanted to do a God Hates Astronauts or a Curse Words hardcover omnibus.
Right.
And I asked about doing a God Hates Astronauts one, and they said no to both. Because we were in such a weird economic space, and those are tough books to make money on in the direct market, especially like expensive omnibuses. Like they get damaged all the time, and then they can't be sold, and they get returned, and like there's just it's a difficult like the price point is so high, like stores don't want to have many on hand, all these different things. So that's why we did the Curse Words Omnibus. We took this image book, and then we did a Kickstarter for the hardcover, and then we sold through the entire thing. And so then Image was like, we had, the comics landscape was more secure, and the pandemic wasn't as crippling, and so they wanted to do their own edition. And so in that edition, we just put a different cover on it. But if you back the Kickstarter, you got that hardcover about a year before the Image edition actually came out. And then with God Hates Astronauts, it was the same thing, that they didn't want to do it, but then the Kickstarter did so well that I said, are you interested in doing a version? And they said, we'd do a soft cover. And I said, well, I haven't printed it yet. So like, we could do the soft cover at the same time, and it would save a bunch of money. So they basically just took all the same interior pages and then just put a soft cover on it. And so my Kickstarter backers got the Kickstarter one that came with a PDF and came with all the stretch goals and all the weird little, paraphernalia that I packed with it and all the fun little value stuff. But then, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months later, you could buy the soft cover at stores for cheaper than the hardcover. But I really made sure that what you were getting had so much more value, and it's it's this weird thing with a Kickstarter where it's really awesome to sell directly to fans, and so that you don't have all these other people taking their chunk out, but the scope of eyeballs and readers is so much greater if you go through the direct market. That it's just like, I mean, look, this current God Hates Astronauts issue, I think I've sold under 500 copies through this Kickstarter, and I'm doing pretty well. If I sold 500 copies of it through the direct market, they would cancel it and they wouldn't even print it, right? Like, so, it's just like a weird, different economic. So, like, I know that some projects make more sense for me to pitch them to Eric Stevenson, and some projects make more sense for me to make it an art project and a Kickstarter and a direct to fan kind of thing. And I mean, I don't know. It's if you look at the board game world, that basically a board game does not come out that is not Kickstarted, and like every publisher does Kickstarters. And so you saw when like board games got really popular, all these board game stores opened, and then they all folded really fast because it turned out that, you know, it's so expensive to have all these games and all this inventory and to keep it in stock. But then all the diehard fans were all getting it through Kickstarter, because on the Kickstarter you could have the expansion and the wooden tokens and the metal figures and all this stuff. So like it just expanded to stores and then immediately contracted and then hyper focused on Kickstarter. Like board games are all bought through Kickstarter, even though they have publishers and they have, you know, large distribution companies and all that stuff. It just became like that was the pre-order model, which, you know, it is the kind of thing that I think a lot of those, though, they try to build in like extra value, or you get it before we go to distribution. You know, I don't know. It's I feel like I'm always walking the fine line of figuring out how I haven't thought of this all the way through and then pissing someone off because they feel slighted. You know, like even on this current Kickstarter, within the first like 20 minutes, someone messaged me about how they were passing on it because I didn't have enough early bird backer levels, and I should have more early bird backer levels because that's how Kickstarters function. And thanks, but no thanks. And I was like,
oh well.
Well, you can't let.
I'm just trying to make a comic, man. Like I don't know.
Yeah, you can't let like
do something else.
Yeah, someone created eight projects. I'm pretty sure that's not how Kickstarter works. All right, but thanks. How many of you created it?
Yeah, if you wanted the early bird specials, you would have got there earlier. I got one.
Yeah,
same. Yeah, same.
Yeah. It's like, but whatever.
I actually offered a decent chunk, and you know, like you can do the math pretty simply about all the money I did not make by offering the quantities at the, you know, at the different discounted levels, you know.
Yep.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
How about this is egregious. I recently paid $30 for a single issue, $3.99 cover price, that I also ordered through previews. Why would I do that? Well, because it's Fred Perry and it's Gold Digger, and for his 300th issue, he did a Kickstarter for a cheetah print cover that you could only get through Kickstarter. And I was like, hell yeah. What's interesting, Vince, about that is that, and it kind of segues into one of the things I wanted to ask Ryan about, but what you just said is interesting to me because I know you, so you don't give two shits about the collectability of variant covers. Like it's literally, in fact, even though that Dap, you and I, like our collecting habits aren't like always fully aligned in what we're interested in. Like we all do share a complete lack of interest in the economics of variant covers. Like I know, like Dap will pick up you or Dap will go to the store on Wednesdays and pick up like a variant if you like it, but it's generally because it's the same price. Like you're not like, I'm going to buy this Chase variant for $50. Oh hell no!
Or the DC for the cardstock for
but what I'm saying is it's interesting that you paid $30 for that cheetah just because you liked it and because you want to support Fred Perry for years and years and years of entertainment, which is cool. It's almost like a tip.
Yes.
But like, I'm wondering how many people, probably the vast majority of people that bought that cheetah cover are buying it because they're like, oh shit, this is a limited edition variant. It's going to be worth some money, right? Like,
I don't think a Fred Perry issue is going to be worth any money. Really? Well, not significant money. Yeah.
Oh, but so tying it back to Ryan, like Ryan, obviously when we saw you in New York, you had some kind of like gobsmackingly expensive variant that was selling like hotcakes. I forget the details because I'm not a variant person. But like, as someone who's been in the comics world for a long time and done a million conventions, like you said, but it was a different vibe. Did you find yourself like shocked and awed? And I assume you're much more educated now as to the collectible variant market than you ever were before. Like, I know you've always done variants for your stuff, like had fun with it. Like, but like that's different, I think, than we're going to put these variants out and they're chase variants and people are going to buy them and slab them and get them signed because they think they're going to be worth insane amounts of money. Like, you've gotten a window into that now. Like, so did it freak you out? Like, were you completely taken aback by it, or were you like, you've been around the block enough that you knew the vibe, you just never had personally experienced? I'm just curious, like, what you thought of it, because to me, like, of all the avenues of comic fandom, whether it be collecting art or crowdfunding or indie comics or big, like, the thing that the three of us are the least connected to, that is still a significant part of the industry, is like collectible variants, which is a huge part of like keeping the direct market alive these days. So I'm just wondering, like, what has been your experience with it? Obviously it's been, I'm sure, financially beneficial to you, but like, did it weigh you out, the magnitude of it? Are you like, do you feel savvier about it? Do you sort of feel weird about it? I'm just curious.
It was pretty mind blowing to see the levels it would go to. Like, we had some retailer variants for issue 1 that I just, sold for like $5 a piece for fun, and then they were going for up to like $600 on eBay, Christ. Like after our press release, right? God. And so that taught me a lesson, and so I can tell you a lot of horror stories off the recording. Mm-hmm. But there are different levels of intensity to those people, and there are some people who really enjoy the collecting aspect of it, and those people are super fun. And you have an expensive variant, and a person's really excited to get it, and it's gonna go up on their wall. Like, people would tell me a lot that they get it slabbed and like hang the slabs on their wall and stuff, and like that's a person that, like, they might read the comic, they possibly read the comic, but like a lot of the fun is the collecting, and like they're treating it like a trading card, which I totally get, and I totally get the fun of it. But then on the other side of it is the people that come and demand to see a stack of everyone that we have, and like go through them and stand at my table and check all the corners, and like and like have no intention of ever reading any comic books, and are just there because this is their NFT, this is their Bitcoin, this is their finding an inefficiency in the market and exploiting it, and like making a living flipping things. And those people have their value, and they do all these weird variants, and they bring money and attention into creators and books, but like, it's a whole, like, I got to learn a lot about the Whatnot crowd, and like the intensity and the hostility from some of the people in that sphere was just like crazy. And it honestly killed a lot of the joy towards the end, of just like, man, I'm just trying to make a comic, and just people are trying to figure out every angle to make as much money off of it as they can, and this is not a game, right? This is how they make their money in their life, and it's just like, that's just not a situation I want to be in. So with 8 Billion Genies, like, we did our own variants, and we did stuff, and limited stuff because it's fun, and we knew people would get excited about it, and it brought attention to the book, and we made some good money. But there's the culture of variant hunters has changed a lot in the last like couple of years, and a lot of it is because of Whatnot. Like, again, it's part of why I signed up with Comic Sketch Art, like that, to give me a buffer, and like to help be more assertive with people that come to try and like get as much free shit as they can, so that they can make as much money off me as they can. I don't know. The experience with it, there are plenty of people that collect variant covers because they love the art and they treat it kind of like trading cards, and those people are awesome. And then there's people that come at it to figure out whatever the widget is, how can they make money off the widget. And so,
it's this weird thing, right? Because
pretty hard over the last year, and not looking forward to going back into it.
Yeah, I mean, because I think we have a tendency, because we aren't into it, to paint them as paint the variant whole world as like this crazy world. And again, to your point, I think it's well made. Is like there's a mix, just like there's a mix of people that buy anything. Like some buy it for the love, some buy it for different reasons, some buy it purely for profit. But like you can't paint everybody with the same brush. But it does fascinate me just because I don't like. I'm just not a cover person, like of all the things I value in comics, like covers are probably the least thing I pay any attention to. Like when we do our year-end awards, we have a category for favorite cover, and that's always the struggle for me, because I'm like, I don't remember covers. Like I can tell you about the story and who wrote it and who drew it and why I liked it, but I don't remember the cover. It doesn't do anything for me. So it's just fascinating to me because as much as we like to paint it like, oh, it's just like, the publishers are certainly like they perpetuate it, right? Like Marvel, DC, Image, they all put out chase variants, right? They all put out these retailer variants, 1 in 50, 1 in 100, and they build in incentives to the retailers to say, hey, if you buy, you have to buy 20% more of this issue than you've bought over the last 3 months of this copy if you want this variant. And it's like, So it's very clearly it's important to them. Like it is part of, they believe it is an important part of their overall sales mix. And without variants, they wouldn't sell anywhere near as many single issues as they do. So like it's never going away. But I am just fascinated that it's a big enough market, because it feels like the people that are into variants are just not comic. And again, I'm painting with a broad brush. But it feels to me like the people that are hustling for the variants are not like comic book fans. Like they don't really care what's going on inside of the book. And I realize, of course, that there are many who do. I'm just saying, but like it feels like in general, it's just a whole different set of human beings. Like the variant.
Yeah, chasers. I mean, I would say that it's a sliding scale in terms of how much people actually read the insides. But there's tons of people that do that hunt after these, and it's like. You kind of have to remember that like this is a thing that has perceived value, and so like if you're a person that's trying to flip it, someone's on the other end buying it, and those people aren't always necessarily buying it to flip it, because usually they're buying it at like the top of the market, right? And so So if someone's buying a CGC $500 8 billion Genies one with signatures and all that stuff, like that's an amazing like item that they have that they're like proud to show off or hang up on the wall or whatever. And that's a completely different instinct. Like those are people that spend a lot of money because of a cover, right? Because that thing is slabbed, you're never going to be able to read it. But that's just a collectible item, and that is like it has value. It has perceived value, and thus it kind of has real value to the person that would buy it. So there's that guy in the end, but it's the people in the middle that are buying them as investments to try and flip. That sure, there probably are some of those people that read comics, but for the most part, it's just like they're just trading widgets, and it helps the industry. Like it helps having these variants. It helped us a lot. It brought attention to the book. It brought money to the book. Like it everybody won and everybody profited on it. And stores do the same thing. Like if there's like a 1 in 50, because we've done a 1 in 50 on our image books, Charles and I, and it's always a picture of my cat Simon, but covered in glitter. Yeah. And you do it because it's silly and it's stupid and it should get some attention, but like it doesn't have anything to do with the book. And those like I know like stores that bought 50 copies of our book and just by far made their money back just flipping the 1 in 50. And so in that sense, it increases our print run and it increases more books out into the world. And as a store made a heavier investment, which ended up being decently safe for them because they knew they could at least recoup their costs by flipping the one at 50. And so it does provide like this value of like now there are more books on the rack because you had to buy so many to get there.
Yeah.
And so like it ebbs and flows in terms of the intensity of the market. And like, I think we're on like a downturn a little bit right now, but it has its place, and there are tons of people that love those covers who also love comics. It's just, I don't know. I buy a comic and I roll it up and put it in my back pocket. I don't bag and board anything. I don't, like, I like reading it, and then usually the floppies get messed up, and then I'll if I like it enough, I'll buy a collection from the shelf. But that's just me.
I like it in the back pocket. Oh my God. Listen to that. That's craziness. I don't know. We've never been able to figure it out, but whatever.
It's crazy.
Yes, it is crazy. So there you go. That's a good solid 2 hours of Ryan Browne.
Yeah, man.
If you want to go to his Kickstarter, you don't even have to look for it because I will provide you with the URL. Go to our website, 11o'clockcomics.com, click on the episode thread for this here thing you're listening to, and nestled within the show notes is a clickable link that will take you right to the Kickstarter. That's how we do.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. I'm totally at this point where, like, I'm excited about the Kickstarter as like a vehicle to get people interested in reading my books. Yes. Like, it's like, I have all this stuff. Most of this stuff is just sitting on my web store, but like something about having a Kickstarter and like having an event around it, it's just like, I don't know. I'm doing this to make a living, but like I'm making a living telling stories that I want to tell, and so it's just it's so like amazing that all these people want to buy these books and like read the books, and so this, like, with everything that happened with 8 Billion Genies and the intensity of the aftermarket collectors and hostility and all this stuff, it's just like awesome to be like, oh yeah, this is fun. Everyone's having fun here. Like, let's just make some silly shit up. And like, like I'm doing a new issue of Blast Furnace that's part of the Kickstarter. And that is just like a full ignoring all craft and just putting a bunch of silly ideas down on like comic pages. And like, that's helping like get me motivated to like be creative and make stuff up again. So so that like that's all these backers, like that's what they're doing. They're like helping me remember why I'm doing this.
Right. So I'm sure there are ears out there that do not know the premise behind the Blast Furnace. So it's 1 hour time limit per page.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I write and draw each page in an hour. With no thinking ahead and no planning and no script. And then I don't make any edits. So I originally was doing it as I was doing a page a day when I did the first one, and so then I would just do like 5 pages a week over the course of 5 days. But now that I've been working on it, I'll work on it in like little batches. So I'll do like 3 consecutive pages for 3 hours or something like that. Just because it's like honestly easier to get my brain in that creative improv mode and like stay there for a little while than it is to try and find it every day. But it is all unplanned, unscripted, and the art is drawn as fast as humanly possible.
So would it be safe to say that you would crush the 24-hour comic?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. That's where it came from. I used to do those all the time, and then I would like... The last one I did, I started hallucinating during, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. But I love what has come out of it. So I was like, what if I can just use that same energy, but just do it non-consecutive 24-page comic, like the 24-hour comic. And so that's what the book is. It's basically just a 24-hour comic that I just do over.
You break it up.
Break it up. Yeah.
See, if I started hallucinating during a project, I would be like, I have to do this more often. I've reached the plateau. This is great.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Anything else you want to ask Mr. Browne before he heads out?
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, how are you enjoying the fantasy baseball season so far?
I knew it. There it is.
Well, for those that don't know, Ryan and I for many years have been in a fantasy league together.
Yeah. It's okay. It's been going okay. I think baseball in general has been more fun to watch with the new rules.
For sure, agreed.
But I don't know, like the heightened injuries that have happened this year, and I mean, I don't know. I play fantasy sports where I never stop. I never like give up, and so I continue to just like churn through roster decisions even when I'm like super out of it, and that appears to be one of these years. A lot of these leagues.
And I have a question.
Last place guy picked up all the good ads. I'm like, sorry.
Hey, you said there's new rules?
Yes.
Yeah.
How do you change the rules of baseball? Like, what, can you beat the pitcher with the bat or something? Or like,
well, they generally propose rules, and all the major sports propose rules changes every year. And then with baseball, because they have minor leagues, they often, as they did with this, they implement the proposed rules in the minor leagues and test them for a year or two and see how they go, and then they bring them, if they like them, to the major leagues. So this year we got massive changes, probably the most substantive changes to the game in a generation, meant to both increase scoring but also speed the game up and bring more balance back to the game, because the game had kind of become what is known as a 3-outcome game, where basically like people stopped, like basically either struck out, hit a home run, or or walked. Like that was kind of what baseball had become, and so they wanted to get back to a world where you could bunt and you could steal and there are lots of ways that you could create offense or not, and that's what they've done, and it's working so far.
Yeah, it's working well, and games are like a half hour shorter on average.
So now they're only 12 hours.
No, they're under 3 hours.
They're averaging about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Like,
wow.
It's kind of amazing, and like what they cut out was just downtime, and so part of what they had figured out, like velocity on pitching is higher than it's ever been, and it continues to like climb, which maybe is why there are so many pitching injuries, but the pitchers were taking so long between pitches to kind of recuperate, and so they could go more max effort. And so the idea now is that you have a clock starts. So there's now a clock in baseball, and you have a certain amount of time to come set and to pitch. And so pitchers are not, so it's like, it's just causing more injuries because they don't have time to rest before a max effort motion of pitching. But it makes the game so much more watchable because there's not a lot of walking around, adjusting your batting gloves and, shaking off signs forever and stepping off forever. And so they basically have just like cut out a lot of dead time. And it's made the product like considerably more enjoyable, but it's severely cut into beer sales. Like it's costing teams millions of dollars in beer sales.
Yep.
Because the games are so much shorter, which is really strange.
Yeah.
And then the vendors are making less money at the stadiums. Like there's all these weird consequences and like ripple effects of making the game shorter. But yeah, it's been a really interesting, like fun year as a whole to just kind of watch baseball and like stuff actually happening is pretty wonderful.
Ryan is whooping his opponent's ass this week so far, 8-2-2.
I'm doing it.
Well, didn't he beat you like 3 years in a row or something?
No.
I won.
David Harper is the. I mean, as much as it pains me to acknowledge this, David Harper in this. This is the head-to-head league. DAP is in 3 of the leagues, but not this one. This is the head-to-head league, and I have to say, if I'm being objective, David Harper has the most career success in this league.
Yeah, he won last year. I won the year before.
Yes. DWJ won the year before that.
And then, he's not in anymore, is he?
This year, he's out this year, yeah.
Yeah.
But I have finished second 3 years in a row, so, yeah.
You're a strong player. You're a very strong player. Great job.
I beat Ryan 12-2 last week, just the record.
Yeah.
Love you, Ryan.
All right. So do it. Come to the website, click on the link, go to this episode thread, and you can go directly to God Hates Astronauts Again on Kickstarter. Or if you're on Kickstarter already, just God Hates Astronauts, do a search and you'll find it. It's well worth it.
Facts.
Big facts. I'm going to get all the issues.
I got a sketch coming. I got some page coming. I'm excited.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
I have a God Hates Astronauts cover with a giant dick on it.
Yeah, you do.
That's true.
I do, and I love it. Yep.
That is true.
I'm very offended by that.
Yeah, can I get a dick on this new one?
Long gone are the days when I could be like, "Hey Ryan, you mind coloring this jam piece head for me real quick?"
Yeah.
Those are gone. Damn.
I'm
I'm gonna have to go to like the Poughkeepsie Con when you're just there like randomly and get you there.
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
pay him
probably.
what he's worth.
Dude, I have never not offered Velvet. That's ridiculous. I'm a capitalist. I never begrudge my friends their monies.
Yep. There you go. All right. Hey, this has been awesome. Thank you, Ryan, for being with us.
Yeah, thank you.
Congrats again, bud.
Yeah. I really appreciate you having me on again, and I hope that chat was interesting and not a downer.
No, it was wonderful.
Good.
You go have a good
mildly
night.
engaging.
Always.
Jeepers.
I'll take mildly engaging. I want that on a shirt. That's on my tombstone.
Nice.
Now we know who the hammerhead is of the group.
That's right.
Indeed.
Later. All right, so you know the drill at this point. Get yourselves out there. Go get some comics. Kiss your loved ones. Make them pets all nice and happy. And say good night. What is his name again? Turquoise? Salmonella? Budapest? No. It's David.
Good night.
Salmonella. Budapest. Pesh. Spagooter.
Oh, good Lord. Had Spagooter tonight.
I love Spagooter.
David.
Nice. Haven't had Spagooter in a long time. And remember our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com.
And the Conan sale.
Yes, cheapgraphicnovels.com is currently running until the June 23rd a 55% off sale on the Conans. You're not going to get these cheaper anywhere else. Believe me. Now, this is Omniboo, Epic Collections, the Mahmoud and Jason Aaron oversized hardcover of the first 12 issues of Conan. Get there now, because this stuff is not going to...
So it's the Marvel stuff, the Dark Horse stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, anything Conan. Even the Blaze stuff?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Conan proper.
Yeah, it's mostly Marvel books. Like it's the Epic Collections, but some of those collect Dark Horse
stuff, right,
published material. So just go. You're going to save a hell of a lot. It's the maximum savings, maximum truth. Just go there. Cheapgraphicnovels.com.
And I know I always forget to remind everybody that this podcast is available everywhere you get any of your other podcasts. Obviously, you know that because you're listening to us. But if you're not happy with Spotify, you can find us on Stitcher. If you're not happy with Stitcher, you can find us on Apple Podcasts. We're basically anywhere you get your podcasts is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
We should do that at the beginning of the episode. But
we should.
We'll get there.
We'll work on it.
Yeah,
we're tweaking it.
we're new.
We're still new at this.
We're new to this.
There we go.
Yeah, tits on a
Good
bowl.
night, Jason, when you're back.
Where did he go?
He said BRB.
Oh.
So it's either bathroom break or the dogs.
Whatever. See ya. We love you so much. Tell them.
We do. Yes.
We do.
Absolutely. And the form for June's Book of the Month will be up very soon. Hopefully tomorrow, likely Saturday, but we'll have it up soon.
Excellent.
Oh, Ed, he's back just in time to say goodnight, everybody.
Look at you. Damn, y'all wrapping up while I had to let the dogs out? Damn.
Yes.
Well.
Yes.
We're not going to talk about them books?
Nope.
What are we going to do, a 3-hour show?
Oh, yeah, because we haven't done 100,000.
I could talk about a book. You want to hear about a book?
I guess not. You already said your goodbyes. I mean,
like they.
Gonna...
Is what it is. Dap and I have a tag team coming up then.
Okay, then.
Tag teams.
Nice.
Yeah.
I read a Marvel book.
Yeah, you did.
You did.
I saw that.
Like of all the Marvel books, it's like
I know.
that's the one he reads.
I'm weirded out by that, but yeah, I cannot wait.
Well, it was really good.
Okay.
All right. Well,
issues.
People need to come back next week to hear about all these great books.
Yes.
There you go. Yes, just wherever you get podcasts, we're there. Bye.
All of it, all the spots.
We love you so much.
And in your travels, we'll be back next time. We're not. I know it's 2 in a row, but we'll be back with it next week.
Yeah. Well, I just didn't want to have to pummel him with stuff that he would
rather
be.
I'm with you. Yeah. I get you. It's all good.
Yeah, my man. Yeah, like I said, he told me he's been rereading Akira rather than new comics. So
yeah, it's not detailed enough for me.
What?
Akira lacks detail.
Yeah.
Bye.
Twitter, bro.
That's it for that one.